Hi, I'm Andy from Steinberg and I'm happy to be here at DV247 today to talk about 7 of the new features that are included in Cubase 7. So on this website you'll find 7 feature videos that offer you some insights and also some tips and tricks into things like the new mix console, the customizable new console that's inside of Cubase, the new channel strip, the new plugins that are always included in new releases, things like the new chord track and chord analyzer, the harmonizer, which allows us to harmonize audio and MIDI files, and a basic general overview of all the new exciting features that we've included in the box. So check them out, I hope you enjoy them. We've talked about a lot of, workflow enhancements for professional users and home users, but what about people that are just starting out, maybe creating new tracks, new songs in Cubase? Or let's say you've hit one of those points where you just can't figure out which chord to go to next, or you can't figure out a good progression that will lead you into your chorus. What we've created inside of Cubase now is a brand new feature called Chord Track. So I'm just right mouse clicking on the grey area here, and then I'm going to say Add Chord Track, and you can see there's a brand new track that appears in my project window. So what I'm going to do is come up here and grab my pen. So let's start from scratch. I'm going to actually enter a chord there, I'm going to enter a chord here, a chord here, and a chord here. So there's a number of different ways I could do that. I could enter it, or I could just hold down the Alt key and I could copy it through. So these are basically starting to build building blocks inside of Cubase. So let's say we're creating a song completely from scratch. I'm going to double click. Well, first of all, if you have a look at the chord track here, I can select which track I want chord track to monitor. So I've got pad shop selected up there. So that means everything that I enter in here in terms of harmonic content or chords is immediately going to be routed to that channel. You can also see that I could say use monitored tracks. So then whichever track I had highlighted, it would simply route these chords to. So these building blocks, let's double click on it, and you've got a completely new setup inside of Cubase. So let's go to the editor. Now, I could say I want to start with C major, and you can hear it's already playing a noise through pad shop. So that's a very complex chord. For a piano player, that's the first chord you learn, C major. So how complex do you want to get? Do you want to add color to it? Do you want to make it a minor chord, a diminished chord, suspended 4 with the 9th over the top of it? Let's say you're actually well, you're not a piano player, but you considered a piano and you can actually, type some notes in that make some sense to you, or play some notes, but you're not too sure what key it is. Quite often I get asked, I write music, but I've got no theory, got no concept of, different keys and different shapes and different colors. So what you can then do is come down to the MIDI input here, and you can say D, F, A, and Cubase will instantly tell you the chord. So let's say we've started with that chord. You think, yep, that's cool. Or let's say that's the first chord of a remix or something like that we're doing. So if we move on to our next one, I'm just using the cursor keys. You can use the cursor keys to flick in between them. Next chord. If you know where you're going, that's great. You might say D minor, I want to go to G. Cool. But if you don't know where you're going, you've got this new feature up here called the Chord Assistant. So it's going to offer us some sort of variations. So it's saying from a D minor 7, you could go to a G minor 7, or an E major 7, or an E minor 7. So that, down here you can see that that'd be level 2 in terms of complexity. But as we move up, let's say we right into our 20th century music or our acid jazz or whatever it is, you can see we've now got so many different possibilities in terms of where we can go from the next step. So it's not just about coming up with the actual chords and specifying the building blocks for your project within Cubase. It's also about having some options there for when you get stuck, or if you're not too sure what you're doing. Let's say you're a singer. You love creating melodies, but you just can't create the harmonic content. This new feature inside of Cubase will allow you to do that at either the touch of a mouse or just by simply entering chords in on the keyboard. There's a lot more to it than that. That's a very simple overview. But if we go back here, you can see now we've got all these different things like voicings. Is it a guitar we're trying to come up with? So it'll completely change the shape of the chord. And then, of course, we've got different triads that we can use within that guitar voicing. Or you can see we can go to a basic, which might just be a 1, 3, 5. And you can see up the top here on the inspector, we've actually got that voicing listed up there for us. Any of this we can change. You can see it's very easy to now swap in between them there. enharmonic shifts. We can swap between flats and between sharps very quickly. And then even if we want to, you can see we've got a whole entire range of different voicings. So there's pretty much every mathematical, if you're looking at it from a what works from a theory point of view, so you've got every mathematical possible solution, but at the same time, as a musician, you've got all of these different suggestions that can help you maneuver around, I guess, some sort of roadblock that would come your way. The other thing we've got down the bottom here is a scale. So you can see this is a scale that will work over the top of a D minor 7th. Knowing full well that the D minor 7th is going to resolve to a G, we could use this scale until we go to the next chord. So if I click on this next chord and ask for another suggestion, let's go back, let's say we're going to go to the C minor. Now that scale will change as we start to resolve and as the scale would change over the top of the chord that we're actually selecting. So that's chord track in a nutshell. There's also a lot more to it, but we'll cover that in another more intense session or tutorial on chord track as well. You can see here on Pad Shop that I can actually select the chord track and start changing parameters from the actual main chord track that we've created there as well.